All right, welcome back, YouTube. I wanted to point out exactly what's happening here behind the scenes since we've been talking about it by comparing longs and shorts for like the last few days before we get into the chart action. So what we're seeing here is literally what I was talking about in our last video, which was the great positioning that's taking effect behind the scenes. Now, some people prefer to do this with contracts, and some people just flat out buy the actual coin. And this is what's happening right now. We have a very large transaction that went through which is for around 200 million Doge, a little over $35 million in Dogecoin. So obviously that's going to trickle over and generate some noise. And you'll see that obviously when you make that type of purchase, it also has an effect on the actual price action. So this will certainly kind of trickle over, and we'll see how this goes as far as for like the market and everyone's like waking up, because typically Doge likes to run, or those larger transactions happen in the middle of the night. So this is I'm going to read a little bit here from Benzinga because this purchase came from Robinhood. So it says a staggering movement of 200 million Dogecoins from Robinhood to an unknown wallet has sparked Doge's recent upward price movement. Following this, Dogecoin's value crossed the 18-cent mark on Saturday, fueling speculation about its potential to reach dollar milestone. So it was up almost 7% in the 24 hours. And according to Whale Alert, the Doge movement was carried out in two transactions totaling 35.45 million. The first transaction was for 100 million Doge at around 17.77 million. The wallet gathered in total about 199.27 million Doge. Let's see. Subsequently, in a separate transaction, another 99.27 million, accounting for 17.68 million, was purchased from the same exchange, right? So now, could this be a rich person just taking a position in Doge? Sure. Could this be an exchange has created an unknown wallet and is accumulating Doge? Sure. But I don't. More than likely, because typically you can kind of find the exchanges wallets, and we'll be able to tell relatively quickly if that's going to be used for like transactional purposes or swapping relatively quickly. But overall, they had to come to Robinhood to get it. So more than likely, this is someone taking a big position here in the market. Kind of what we're talking about in the charts, which is what we're going to take a look at in a moment. Is the market is pricing in higher Doge. You can see it going on behind the scenes. You can see it in the price action in the candles. I know typically people, if they can only imagine an asset going higher if it's green, right? And sometimes red is a great indicator that the asset is going to go higher if you're able to see why the candles is red and what is going on behind it. And we're going to take a look here. Matter of fact, before we go to the charts, I want to take a look here at the great positioning that we have here, because you're going to see these liquidations and this movement here. Because the great thing about it is over the last month, longs versus shorts, despite the price action that we've seen, it has not dropped below 70%. It's been fluctuating somewhere between every day. Longs versus short, longs are dominating 70% plus every day for like the last month. So this is what I mean by a great repositioning here. So yeah, right now, 71% on the 5 minutes, 71% on the 30, 71% on the hour, almost 71%, 70.96 on the 4 hour, and 72.8 on the 1 day. So, and I expect these to kind of update here soon, because I know this is kind of going to trickle over, and we'll be able to see some of the updated numbers since we had this price run here in the last few hours. So longs are not liquidating anymore. So right now it's just shorts in the last 24 hours. So again, this hasn't updated yet. Typically they don't do this based off of around pivot point. So we'll see how that kind of correlates to the charts, but longs have backed off. So it looks like they're happy with their positions for now. And we're still at around 1.2 billion in open interest. So again, we'll wait on these numbers to update throughout the day, but this gives you an idea of the liquidations here. So the longs looks like they've stopped swapping, at least toward the latter part of yesterday. Again, we'll see when this updates, but the great position that what we've witnessed is the longs absolutely dominating the market here. So, and that's still true even now with the shorts liquidating. They still are not putting up enough shorts to uh, take control of the market, or at least take control of the overall percentages that are coming into the asset. So here, looking at price action, we are back at 18. If you've been following my videos, this is exactly what I've been talking about. If you're able to catch it below, that you're going to see a very quick price action going back up to the equilibrium here, which is where the market is saying fair value for Doge. It's saying fair value for Dogecoin is somewhere between 18 and 22 cents. So if you're able to catch it below that, it's literally like that rubber band scenario. It pops back to 18 relatively quickly. That is where you have the support resistance area that we're kind of doing this tango with right now. But ultimately, that is where the market is saying fair value is. So no matter what happens, whale dumps, macros, Bitcoin sells off. After that is done, then once that pressure is relieved, once those coins are accumulated, it goes back to equilibrium. And we saw the big push up yesterday where we had the hammer. And for my traders, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. So this here could certainly well be a reverse signal, a reversal, a trend signal, because we had the engulfing candle and they were able to push it down at the last few hours, so that it didn't engulf the complete candle here. But then we had the hammer the next day. So this is certainly, if you're looking for an entry, even if you are, let's say you were like a trader or something, these are signals you'd be looking for to get in, because these are all very bullish candles here, and they're threatening, saying, okay, well, there's obviously a hard bottom here. So, and the great thing is, this is also plays into what I was talking about with the amount of new people coming into the coins. As I discussed yesterday, we have almost 7 million holders. So I think this is a very big deal when it comes down to the coins here, because they're all going to have different DCAs, and they're going to be willing to, right now they're willing to increase their coin count. We don't know what their DCAs are. So the people that are coming in this month and last month, 18 cent, that may be right around their 15 to 18 cent. That's probably right around their current DCA. So they're like, oh my God, we're back here. I have an opportunity to increase my coin count prior to the halving, prior to when the bull run actually gets started. So what that can do is that can allow us to not consolidate all the way down to like those support levels. Typically, we can find support or get a rejection here in mid-range versus going down to 15. Now, obviously, we still have a few weeks before the halving, so I'm not saying that we can't go to 15, but what I'm saying is that the amount of people coming in, it generates buying pressure at different points versus the people that were in here since last year, or they got in like 6 months ago, and their average is around the pivot point of 15. So it just kind of strengthens the movement here and strengthens these legs, where you're able to actually build out support in the middle of a zone versus trading zone to zone, right? So it kind of pumps those brakes and those volatile movements when you're looking for liquidity. So ultimately here, the next best thing obviously for us would be to close above this 18 mark and get for this great retesting here. Because what we're doing here is, when we had the big sell-off, we had the whales dump, we had the macros with Jerome Powell, all the good stuff, right? We had the push down here. And so now what we're looking at is to break above this and then retest that 22. Now, historically, we've broken through 22 after 2 retests. Now, will that hold true this time? Will we continue that trend and break above the 22? That's TBD. We'll see that momentum here. If we get some bigger candles like these on the way up, then highly probable. And remember, after the 22, closing above 22 opens up that latter part of the 20s here. So we're talking 26 to 30 range after that. So this is going to be very telling. I'll say a very telling week, right? The next 7 days, as far as if we're going to consolidate, if we're going to, there's this bullish reversal here that we're seeing based off where this candle closes. This is the candle I'm referring to. It's still open, obviously, but that can position us to go to around that 22 cent range. So this is what I meant by, for the people that are saying, okay, I'm going to, we're going to 15, we're going to 12, just kind of keep in mind. That's why I update you guys on wallets and shorts and everything, and even the longs, is keep in mind that things are different now. I know previously, and even in the bear market, you typically trade support to resistance, support to resistance, support to resistance. But in a bull run, when the amount of people coming into the coins is increasing month over month, sometimes by hundreds of thousands of people, like I think the average wallet, I think the average amount of Dogecoin in the wallets for, I think February, if I'm not mistaken, was like $458 or 458 coins or something like that. When you have that amount of people coming into the coin every month, sometimes you're not going to reach those support levels even on the consolidation, right? Because you got to think, you have to kind of read the room and see what times we're in. We're in a bullish time, and so people are optimistic about the coin. People are trying to accumulate. So if you're sitting there and like, okay, when it comes to 15, I'm going to jump in, and then we pump the brakes at 16, 17, and then go back to 18. So you're going to see a lot of that, especially as we start hitting some of those higher numbers. It's not necessarily going to trade completely from support to resistance. You'll see some, it'll look weird, but like for example, you'll see kind of like right here, if you're trying this and you're saying zones, okay, well, we have 15 here. We kind of blew through these on all the other pretests. So what we're going to do now is go to 15, and then you end up pumping the brake here at around 16. So very normal to kind of have those adjustments when you're looking to take positions here. There's something to consider here, that the coin is growing very rapidly, and sometimes we'll be able to establish that in the middle. So ultimately, let's take a look here at shorts. We have the shorts. As far as we're taking positions here, very flat line. They've been decreasing their positions, like almost very nominal moves, not very telling at all if they're even confident to get into the market. So right now they're a little trending around the 14 days, so not being very strategic or confident to get in, which is what we've seen here. That's why I was mentioning that longs have been dominating. Bitcoin shorts have been, last time we checked, they were running for the hills. Let's see if they've changed their minds. So yesterday, this is today, so this is an open candle. It looks like they're trying to get back in, but yesterday they pretty much flatlined. They definitely ran out a lot of these positions here. We'll see if they're coming back in, but right now they're hovering around the 200-day moving average. We'll see where this candle closes, but certainly a little green for today. And this is one thing I like when you have Dogecoin rallying, is because that's an individual catalyst. So Bitcoin is in fact green right around the 14-day on the price action here. Not very strong movements, but certainly they fought back very well yesterday for that push down. They were trying to get it down to around 66,000, and Bitcoin recovered nicely. Not enough to turn the day green, but it recovered very nicely here. And today, obviously it's green here. So that kind of gave you like the turn of the tide yesterday when they were trying to get it to push down, and Bitcoin recovered back to the 14-day. So again, this is the Bitcoin is doing the same thing that Dogecoin is doing, which is not necessarily consolidating all the way down to quote unquote support. It's finding support, mid range, right? And people are coming in buying, saying, okay, well, I'm not waiting until it gets to where the suspected range at, because it may not get there, and I want my position now, or this is my current average, so I'm buying now. And we're seeing that across the board here, and this is very great for the strength of the movement here, and ultimately possibly even setting some higher resistance points, support points. So even if we're trending up, this kind of gives you an idea, saying, okay, well, we may not necessarily go down that far. And this kind of gives you a trajectory here to have a smaller range between where you're getting rejected from and where you're getting support from. So again, that certainly helps with the overall momentum and the amount of capital that's needed to break through some of those resistance points. So I think that overall is really great for the asset. And I'll go back to Doge here. So with that being said, like we said, we've taken a look at the longs and shorts. We see that the whales are in fact buying. This is what I meant by don't necessarily let a red candle give you, I guess, set the tone for how you feel about the investment. Always, if you can, make sure you look behind the scenes and see what's going on, because it could just be swapping, and then they buy when the candles are red. So typically they like when the asset goes down, and they buy when it's red. And people typically like when the candles are green and then it goes up. But the difference is they are taking their positions, whether that be options or buying a coin outright. Because for all we know, the person that did this could be a same person that's taking out a lot of these options, and he's simply just making sure his bet is hedged. So you can kind of have, whether that be longs or shorts. If I'm bullish, I'm going to take some. If he's buying these coins here. Okay, I'm going to take out some shorts. I'm going to get some puts and some options here to kind of hedge my bet just in case I'm wrong. So he's covering both bases. So if you're buying, if this is a whale, it's a person, and he's buying $35.45 million in Doge, I'm willing to bet he probably has some either a short position or some puts here to kind of cover that. So that way he's playing both sides. What 200 million coins is certainly means that he anticipates that it's going to go up, but not saying he doesn't have that protection in places there as well. So we're seeing the alignment between longs versus shorts over the last month. They're pricing in higher Dogecoin. Obviously, we're seeing some big transactions here that believe that Dogecoin is worth having. So just going to keep that in mind as you're considering what to do, or if you're waiting on the halving here for that pivot point in the markets. Everything is pointing to higher Dogecoin. So at this point here, we're just waiting on the cycle to fulfill itself and getting this the price action here, because right now we are positioning ourselves for the great retest at 22. And like I said, historically, we typically break through on the third target. So that being said, if you found value, please consider subscribing. We're going to try and beat Bitcoin to 100,000. For me, that would mean 100,000 subscribers versus $100,000. But if you're able to help with that, simply just click the subscribe button, and that'll certainly push me +1 toward that goal, and I'll appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll get to as many of them as possible, and I'll see you guys in the next video.